notice me using these things. The needle on this one broke while I was pushing through, which is easy to do if you get pushing too hard. Tandy Leather was closed, so I couldn't go buy another one. That's where I got this from. So I ran over to your friendly local neighborhood Walmart and bought this. This comes with 2 needles, a straight one and a curved one. This is called the Speedy Stitcher. This is actually pretty cool. They're pretty good. I don't utilize them the way that they're designed because I don't like the thread. It's too thin for what I'm using here. I'm using this thicker waxed thread, and it won't thread through properly. But how you use these things is you thread the needle. To begin with, it doesn't matter which side you thread it through, but it does eventually, and I'll get to that. So you can use an awl. I'm going to use the awl on this. It makes it a little bit easier to find the hole, to eyeball it, to get where you want the needle to go. Trying to use the Speedy Stitcher as an awl, like I said, can break the needle. So you push this through. Of course, now I can't see my hole. I should have done it on the other side. The other side where you can see the hole from, in the leather. So then you want to pull this small loose end through. I'm just using another awl kind of thing. It's nice because it's got grips on it to adjust the chuck for the needle. So you get that through, and then unthread the needle and pull that back out. So the reason I'm doing this is you want these things are designed that you can put thread inside a bobbin in here and feed it up through. That's kind of a pain. Most people don't really do it that way, and I don't like it. Part of it's because I really haven't figured out how to do it. Yeah. The other part of it is the thicker thread I'm using. So I got that punched through there. So you want to have enough thread on either side to do at least, half of it. You don't want to run out of thread that often. So I'm going to pull a bunch out here, and then pull a bunch out here. It's kind of a guessing game. That's why I end up with a bunch of extra thread. If you use this thing right, you won't run out of thread on the one end because it's just pulling from a spool, but you will on the other end if you don't pull enough out. So it's the same thing as sewing on a sewing machine. You're ultimately going to run out of thread on one end or the other. So now, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to stitch this from the other side because it's easier to see where I'm poking my holes. So basically what you have is you have thread on the bottom. So now what I'm going to do, this is where it's important. These needles have a channel on one side. It's kind of hard to see. You have to feel it with your thumb. So I found the easiest way to do this is that channel is the direction in which you're stitching. So if that channel is facing forward, then I'm going to be stitching this way. The reason to knowing where that channel is if you don't do this right, when you go to pull it back up, it will bunch on you. So find the channel and then put the thread through from the back side. So the thread is not on the channel side. And then pull this up. I'm going to punch another hole here. May have got that one a little bit too close to the edge. I'll work back away from it just a little bit. Doing stuff by hand is never going to be precisely done, just the way it is. So now I'm going to pull that excess up to where it's just like that, so that there's hardly any thread between those two. And then I'm going to go through it. Don't press too hard because you can break the needle, which is what I did yesterday. And then push this through so it's through like that. Now I'm going to back this up a little bit and that loop opened up on the side that is not the channel side. Sometimes it'll open up on both sides. You got to pay attention. Now I'm going to take this excess thread and I'm going to put it through that loop. If two loops open up because the thickness of the leather, just make sure you're using the loop that is closest to your excess thread. Just push it through there. Make sure it doesn't knot up on you. You don't need to pull it really tight at this point. I push this back down and then pull up the excess. That makes it easy to pull out. So now I've pulled that out, and what it's done is it's created a loop. So the thread that went down and the thread that, like this, have been looped together. It's just like on a sewing machine. If you've ever sewed with the sewing machine, it's the exact same concept. So just kind of pull them tight and then create your next hole. Make sure that you do not twist this while you're doing this. You want this to be straight on, so the hole, the eye of the needle, is running this way. The thread isn't twisted. When you push through, if you twist it, it'll bunch up on you. When you go to pull it through, it won't come through right. Poke it through. Back it up. On this one, you can see that it opened up, both of them. Both loops opened up. You're going to use the one that's closest to this thread. Put it through there. Push it back down and pull this up. Pull the slack out that's on the underside. Sometimes if it doesn't want to pull out, pull the slack more. That slack will prevent it. And you can see the loop right there has come out. That's fine. Just pull this back down. Like pull them tight. And that's basically how you stitch these. I'm just going to continue doing that all the way down. That's the easiest way. The other way would be to take a, I don't know where they are. I've got a bunch of needles. To take a big leather needle, punch your hole, take the needle, push it through with the thread on it, and just go through in and then flip it over and back through and out, and you have to do that all the way around, and then you have to go back and do it again to get that complete continual loop effect like that. I used to stitch a lot like that. Honestly, it's a big pain in the butt. These things are so much easier to use once you figure them out. But like I said, if this is twisted, see how I've got that twisted now? When I go to poke that through, if it's twisted, it won't work right. Once it's through, if I'm twisted while I'm pulling it out or pushing it through, it won't work. When you push that through, this has to go through the loop that is on the back side of the channel, and it will work fine. You'll know it doesn't work fine when you pull it. It's hard to pull up, and you pull it up and it pulls up the loop through it, and you're going, what the heck just happened? Just unthread it, push it back through, start it over again, making sure you've got them lined up. So that's a quick little thing on how to use one of these Speedy Stitchers. There's a lot of videos out there. I've watched some of them, and they don't explain things well. So it's really important to just keep it straight and know which side is the front, keeping that groove in the, that's the front to me, and that's the direction that I'm stitching. And then the excess, which is the loop that's going to go through, goes through the back when you're doing it. It's not that complicated. Your fingers will get hurting, so I've got some rawhide. I just need to make a little rawhide thimble, put on my thumb and finger so I don't poke them. Anyway, so I'm going to keep doing this.